got a chance to interview another filmmaker, one that I've interviewed previously for a movie called Midway, Nicholas Hoult. And this particular film that you're going to talk about is called The Order, and this was another one of those virtual press conferences that you got a chance to submit the question. And when we do this, Thomas, we never know if our question is going to come up or not with these press conferences. But when they do, it really is one of these just moments. You just kind of have this feel-good tingle that goes throughout your whole body.
Yeah, instant dopamine rush whenever you hear, this question is from Thomas or Noel Manning from the Critics' Choice Association. So, yeah, I got to ask a question of Nicholas Hoult about The Order. This is based on a true story and takes place in the Pacific Northwest in the 1980s. It's about this group of white supremacists who are basically creating or trying to create an uprising, and then there's an FBI agent played by Jude Law who is on the case. So it's basically a game of cat and mouse between Jude Law's FBI agent and Nicholas Hoult's character, based on real life people. And so, yeah, I got to ask a question here to Nicholas, which you will hear here in just a moment.
This next question is from CCA member Thomas Manning. Nicholas, for you, as you've kind of certainly alluded to here, this is a dark, dangerous charisma that Bob Mathews has. And you capture that so well in a really pivotal scene where he gives a speech at the church. How do scenes like that, one, challenge you as an actor, and what were some key decisions that you made to find that more charismatic side of Bob Mathews?
I don't think charisma is something that I ever settingly try to play. I think that's something that if someone describes a character as charismatic, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I think with Bob, it's something that through the research and process of learning about him and trying to transform into him, like even then hearing about when you got sick, that's how you physically found him. For Bob, it was something that I knew he didn't drink. I knew he took care of himself and weightlifted, and it was very much about nature and the outdoor lifestyle. So it was all about that, where I stopped drinking and I was getting really fit and taking care of myself and felt pure. Even though his brain and his internal thoughts aren't pure, he feels pure and part of the earth and nature and all these things. So that's digressing, sorry, but the speech was interesting because I did find a recording of Bob giving a speech that was kind of similar to the one in the script. And they're documented in the book, The Silent Brotherhood, as well. So I'd go through and read the full speeches, because this is obviously a condensed version, and even the chant at the end of that was something that I found and then said to Justin and Zach, I was like, hey, this motto that they have, defeat never, victory forever, I was like, I think that could be powerful for the end of this speech in terms of how we end that scene, this rallying war cry. But that being in that scene was actually quite terrifying. It was because up until then, what we've discussed about these characters and Bob is there's also this external thing that he's pushing in terms of like community and family and all this kind of wonderful warmth he's giving in terms of trying to create this community and accept
a place for people to a refuge.
That feel lonely or isolated or need help and feel like the state aren't taking care of them, whatever it might be. So he's providing that. And so quite a few of the scenes before that speech, we're focusing on that and creating this camaraderie between me and all the group. And then suddenly you're put into that hall and you are giving a hate speech. And the crazy thing about it, I remember doing the first take and everyone getting involved, and we had brilliant supporting actors throughout that day and the whole cast. And it was one of those where they called cut and it was terrifying. It was honestly, being in that room was something where you were like, oh, it felt powerful in a horrible way, where Justin was kind of shocked. I think everyone was kind of shocked by it, and he went cut, and that was like, we were kind of like, oh, that's it, and that's scary, but that's what it is and should be. And it was funny because I remember George, one of the actors in the group, said he could see my vein pulsing. He was like, it's weird because you were so still. And there was something about Bob as a character I felt like because he's planned his whole trajectory in life and what his ultimate goal is and accepted his fate in many ways. There was a calmness and a distilled directness, and he's always kind of focusing on everyone else. but internally all of this kind of crazy darkness and emotion and manipulation going on constantly, and prey in front of him. And my vein, he said he could just see my vein in my neck, like pulsating. I could feel all that internally, but in that moment was actually not externally trying to convey that. So I don't know if that kind of answers the question, maybe.